The new X-Men roster has finally been revealed. The team is being touted as Krakoa's first officially sanctioned X-Men team. This means that these people will be globally seen as Krakoa's protectors, and that they are here to protect the rights of the mutant nation and fight for it on behalf of everybody. It was the first time Marvel ever let fan democracy play a part in electing some of the membership, and as we know by now, Polaris won with a seemingly overwhelming majority vote. We also knew going into this that Cyclops and Jean Grey were both going to be members of the team, but the rest of the squad were complete unknowns. That is, until today. In a reveal via its social media channels, Marvel confirmed that Rogue, Sunfire, Synch, and the all-new Wolverine are the final members being announced to join the team. I was hoping against all odds that we'd get some villains on here, or just some really obscure characters, but apart from Synch and maybe Sunfire, it looks like we've just got another batch of A-listers. It's a bit boring for me, I'm not gonna lie, but at least I'll have Curse of the Man-Thing squad to tide me over. I'll admit, I thought a big point of the Hellfire Gala was to have the reveal of this team announced during then, so I'm a little bit confused as to why Marvel is insisting on revealing the entire makeup of the team now. I was expecting like a red carpet curtain drop kind of thing to reveal who'd be on the team within the actual Hellfire Gala issues. There was a lot of hype behind this election, so I don't know why they wouldn't want to draw out this intrigue and fan interest even longer, but I don't know, maybe they thought that it would run out of steam or like interest would wane by the summer. Whatever, this reveal just feels really random and anticlimactic to me, but regardless, we have the new X-Men team in front of us. So let's dive in and take a look at each of the new members. Cyclops. It's no surprise to anyone that Cyclops would be part of the X-Men team. He is the X-Men through and through, and he embodies everything about the dream and everything with the changes that have gone on with human and mutant relations over the years. Psych is absolutely not one of my favorite characters at all. I grew up on the animated series, so I can't help but see him as like the stuck-up tight ass that he was portrayed as, but I'll admit, he has undergone a ton of character growth and development over the past decade, and I really don't think that the Boy Scout trope applies to him whatsoever anymore. He's done a great job of shedding that reputation by doing really questionable things like channeling the full might of the Phoenix Force into remaking the world and putting kids on the front line for his mutant militia. These are dark aspects that Cyclops needed to have to help give his character some depth. Otherwise, he would have just been fated to being like the stoic, boring, rule-following field leader all his life. Even though I would never pick up a Cyclops solo series, the X-Men don't feel complete to me unless he's somewhere along the helm guiding and steering them in their direction. So him being on the team just feels right in every way. Jean Grey. I like Jean, although I'm not really a stan of hers either, and I subscribe to the controversial opinion that I think her character has more impact in the comics when she's dead versus when she's alive. That said, I think that she adds some nice flavor when she is on a team. Jean is a lot more sassy than people give her credit for. She's really got that fiery redheadedness about her, and I think that her being dead so often and for so long really gives her a different perspective on things than most of the other characters. She always comes across as a lot more live in the moment than some of the others do. I think she, more than anyone else, understands the sanctity of life and of experiences, and even though the resurrection protocols kind of dismantle those concepts because anyone can just come back at any time, there's still something to be said about living in the here and the now, and I really think that Jean does a great job of embodying that. In terms of being on this X team, I mean, everyone needs a psychic, so why not have the best of the best? I worry that her dynamics with Cyclops will just be a bit boring though, and that they'll come across as this superpower couple that can just do anything together. I know there's this whole throuple business with Wolverine going on now, but we haven't really seen any drama come out of that yet, so I don't know if these two being on a team together without Logan will create some of that friction that I'm craving, or if it's all just going to amount to nothing. Overall, Jean's a great pick for this team, if not another obvious choice, and so long as they get rid of that goddamn green mini dress that she keeps wearing, I'll be curious to see what they do with her in order to elevate her character. Polaris. Polaris was the winner of the X-Men election, so her involvement in this team is purely fan service, but it also feels like she belonged here the entire time. If you showed me this roster and didn't tell me that there was an X election that happened to determine part of its membership, I never would have guessed. Polaris always feels like she's part of the Summers clan anyway because of her on-off relationship with Havoc. If Cyclops and Jean are on a team, then by extension, it always feels like Polaris can't be too far behind. Even though I've already talked about how she didn't get my vote in the election, I really do think she'll be a big asset on this team. Looking at the entire roster now, I actually think she'll be one of the more interesting characters, and she's probably one of the ones that I'm most excited for. The team is stacked with powerful mutants, and Polaris is definitely no exception. She packs a lot of raw power, and I think that a lot of her battle scenes will probably end up being some of the more aesthetically pleasing ones, artistically. Overall, it turns out that I'm happy to see Lorna here, and maybe the fandom made the right choice after all. Rogue. I did not expect Rogue to be listed on this team. I remember a lot of people were in a huff when Polaris was announced for the election because she's already a member of X Factor, so her winning essentially means that she's just moving books. I didn't think that anyone from any of the other ongoing teams would be given the spotlight because there are so many other mutants who are not currently on any team who could be used effectively as an X-Man, but apparently anyone is fair game. Case in point with Rogue. Rogue has been a part of the Excalibur main cast since it launched with Dawn of X, though whether she's been used effectively over there is debatable. The book has been rough to get through sometimes, with its super focus on high fantasy and magic, and it's become pretty clear that Excalibur is just Betsy Braddock and friends. I'm not complaining because I love Betsy, but it does an injustice to the rest of the team when things happen like that, and someone who has been paying the price for it has most definitely been Rogue. When I think back to what she's done in Excalibur, the most I can really remember is that she was in a coma for a while, and that is so not the best way to utilize Rogue. She's one of the most charming characters in the X universe when she's written properly, so I actually think taking her out of Excalibur, where she was pretty much doing nothing, and plopping her here in the X-Men roster is a great move. This looks like a team where she can really thrive and where she doesn't have to worry about playing second fiddle to anyone's lineage like the Braddocks. She's obviously going to be the muscle of this outfit, and I trust that they'll do right by her and all her Southern Belle charms. Sunfire. Sunfire was someone I did not expect to see on this list either. I never expect him to be on any team, actually. Even when he was announced for Uncanny Avengers a few years ago, I cocked my head and was like, really? Sunfire does not play well with others, so anytime I see him being cast as part of an ensemble, I really bring his membership into question. In the case of the Avengers, I think they did it right by having Wolverine kind of force and convince him into joining, because by how I know Shiro, he's a loner by nature, and joining up with a troupe of others is just not his idea of a good time. I like Sunfire as a character a lot. I love his arrogance and I love his cockiness. I think they write him really well and strongly most of the time, so I think he'll be a great member of the team, if only for the drama and the arguments he'll cause and stuff like that, but I'm also going to need some sort of rationalization as to why he's a member at all. They can't forget that Sunfire doesn't actually like being part of teams, so as long as that is addressed and the story and characterization makes sense to me, then I'm all about him being an X-Man. Synch. This is a really fun one to see. Synch's stock has been given a huge rise in profile lately ever since his resurrection and his journey into the vault with X-23 and Darwin. I think that Marvel is really recognizing how powerful this guy is and that there's enough of a fan base behind him to merit giving him a push into more of a leading role within the X universe. Synch isn't really a personal favorite of mine, but I'm keen to watch him grow and be part of the new team. I think he's been out of the comics for so long that it's really hard to have like a modern day feeling about him, so I'm excited for him to really be given this chance to shine and come into his own. I don't really care for his powers, to be honest. I always thought that synchronicity or power mimicking of any kind was like a lazy way out of being unoriginal and overpowering people, but there's no denying that it's like a really useful ability to have on board. I think a lot of the interesting details in him being on the team are going to come from his romance potential with Laura. She's more of a fighter, whereas I see him more of a lover, so I'll be curious to see if they keep this going with them and how the dynamics will work. I just really think that this is an opportunity to further define and refine Synch's character, and I'm really happy to see him get this chance. Wolverine. This is the one I'm least excited about. I know the Wolverine brand is a cash cow for Marvel, so it's unlikely that there will ever be a main X team without at least one of the Wolverines on it, but for me, this is a really boring addition. It's become so expected to have a Wolverine on the X team or any team at all that it's just typical and uninteresting. I actually find Laura more uninteresting than Logan, so it doesn't help that it's her instead of him taking up the mantle. I don't like legacy characters like this. I think they're kind of lazy creations, and yes, I know that she's had a ton of character development and growth, and that she's not just Wolverine's clone anymore, but part of me still just sees that aspect of her every time she's on the page, so she's not exciting or new or refreshing to me in any way. This is just a personal opinion though. Objectively, I do think she's a really strong character choice, and of course she adds that feral fighter savageness that the team sorely needs. But I mean, I would have been happy to have gotten that from anyone, maybe like Feral or Thorn or the myriad of other people who can hunt and heal and fight and who haven't been on a team in forever. It's nice to see the younger generation graduating to the big leagues, but I'm not excited by this particular choice, and I just feel it was a little bit too predictable. So that's the new X-Men roster and what I think of each member. Overall, it's probably not a book that I'm super excited to pick up simply based on who was revealed, but I'm not bored by it entirely either. I can gripe and complain all I want, but I'm still gonna pick it up every week and read it, and who knows, maybe the writing will be really good and will help me get excited by the team. In my opinion, Hellions is still the roster to beat of all the current X books, and I doubt that any of the other books will ever do justice by me until they give me the equivalent of deep cuts like Nanny and Orphan Maker on another X team. But that's just me. I know a lot of X fans out there are probably excited by this announcement, so please let me know what you think. Feel free to disagree with me, I get it all the time, and let me know who you would have chosen to fill out the new X team. Thanks for stopping by and watching this video today, and be sure to come back again soon for more Great X-Mentations.